What's going on, everybody? It's Duran here from Sunrise Gaming, coming back to you with another video. We are returning to our character analysis series, and this time around we are going on the adventure with the defense heroes. We're going to be starting off with the famous Shimada brother himself, Hanzo. Hanzo is the bane of a lot of people's existence and is considered an insult if you call somebody a Hanzo main. We're going to break him down today, what he's good at, what he's not good at, what he can be used for, and why some people should never play him. Today I'm joined by Lax. Lax and I are going to break everything down. Lax, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Doing good. Ready to talk about some Hanzo,
Oh yeah,
eh?
let's get into it.
The old Shimada, he's quite something else, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's interesting because people don't have faith in anybody that plays Hanzo, so it's like you said, it's an insult if you call somebody a Hanzo main when there's actually some good Hanzo mains out there.
There's a couple famous ones all over YouTube and whatnot, so I'm sure you can always find something interesting about him.
Oh yeah.
Let's start first and foremost. Hanzo, what do you think of his skins? Which one's your favorite?
The Cyber Ninja one is probably the best, just because I mean, come on, it looks pretty badass. That and the wolf costume ones are pretty great,
Yeah,
especially since the wolf one like changes his what he says during his ultimates. But it changes his ultimate, like just the design of it, which I think is pretty cool.
agreed. It is really something else. I love his skins, even though they're few and far between. They are very cool.
Oh
So
yeah, very
let's
good.
let's get into it. Hanzo is in the defense category. He is an archer. He is like similar to Reinhardt, using old school weapons in a very modern FPS game. He
Yep.
uses good old bow and arrow. His arrows are very strong though, and you can charge up their strength by pulling and holding farther back on the
Hmm.
bow. Do you think that was necessary for him, or what?
Well, I think so. I think if it's like an instant, it goes to its maximum damage as soon as you press it. That'd be not broken, but it'd make him a lot more deadly. Which there's arguments for that, but I think ultimately that's fine if you have to hold it down. I mean, it's realistic, and I think it just makes the game a little bit better.
Agreed. Um, so his first ability, his left shift, is called the Sonic Arrow, where he
Hmm.
notches on a specific arrow that when he shoots it, it acts as like um, what's her face, Widowmaker's ultimate, where
Hmm.
you can see behind walls and you can see the outlines of all the enemy characters that are in like a circular thing around the arrow wherever it lands. Why do you think he has that?
Um, because it gives him an advantage, and also gives his team an advantage. Um, it's interesting because it's a lot like Widowmaker's ultimate, but you have to only people in the little sphere get highlighted. So theoretically you could get all six of the opponents, but you can only get one as well. Um, and it's like has like a 20-second recharge, but it lasts for 10 seconds. So if you can constantly keep it up, you get its value. Like half the time you're playing that map, you get to see where they're coming from, especially certain characters. If you can put it down on their DPS or their support characters, so you know where they are at all times. Um, I think the reason they gave it to him was because without it, he doesn't provide a lot to the team. So this is kind of like his team, like his utility. We talk about utility with a lot of our other characters, so this is his utility slot, I'd say.
Yeah, it's just an information gathering tool. Um, you can kill people with it. It does count as a regular arrow, but
Yeah, it
for
does
the
do
most part,
damage.
it's utility. So
Oh yeah.
I like it. Now let's talk about E, his scatter arrow. If you guys have
Yes.
seen the clip of Hanzo versus Genji, he actually uses it. When he launches a scatter arrow, it splits off and goes into a bunch of different little arrows that bounce around the area, and they obey a lot of laws of physics, so they go all over the place. Um, this ability is considered broken. And the
Yeah.
reason behind that is you can shoot it directly into the ground at a proper angle, basically like right in front of you, or like at an angle so where it hits your enemy's feet or right in front of them. I think it's right in front of them it does the most damage.
Yeah, something like that.
Like literally at their toes is where you need to land it. And all
Hmm.
the arrows will reflect or will bounce right into their body, and that's an instant kill for every DPS except for
Uh,
Reaper.
that's an instant kill on pretty much every character.
except for tanks.
I got one shot by a scatter arrow as a Winston.
I don't know,
That
man.
was
I
at
don't think
like
it does.
250, 300.
Yeah, I know it does at least 250 damage because it does kill Reaper.
Yeah, at
So,
least that. So
yeah,
depending on the scenario. But
right. If you're a full health tank, you're not going to get killed. But if you're anything other than that, you're going to get killed by it if it lands properly. So,
yeah.
what do you think of that ability?
Well, see, it's interesting because I think their original design, this is just theoretical, but the original design was okay, you have a lot of people coming through a tight choke, you put that scatter arrow into the wall, you can hit all of them. So the goal would be to do a lot of damage to all the characters. But we figured out that the way the arrows break, you can actually send each arrow into one person, which can act as an instant shot, especially if you get it like, placed perfectly, or just get them down to half,
Mm-hmm.
which is just as good, almost as good. But some people say it's overpowered. I mean, if you think about it, it's pretty hard to do. I know some people have said that if you just, it's kind of like it's hard because he's considered this sniper class, but this is kind of an ability where it's really hard to land far away, so that makes him not a sniper class.
Right.
Um, so he kind of has to be in the midst of it. He doesn't want to be frontline, obviously, but if he can kind of take a cheeky angle or like get the high ground on somebody and shoot it right down at them, then you can get an instant kill, which is really good. I think the reason that it's not broken is that it's extreme. It's hard to do, and you have to be very skilled. The counter argument to that is that Hanzo's that practice for a while. I've gotten it down, so that it's pretty much instant. It's pretty much guaranteed. I just think that's players being really good at a certain character. That's like Widowmaker hitting headshots. I mean, you can't really you can't really get mad at a sniper hitting a headshot or a guy with a bunch of arrows shoving them up your butt. Like I think it's fine. It's annoying every time you get killed by it. It's extremely annoying, but I think it's fine, especially at like the lower ranks because it's not really like there's not many people that can hit it consistently.
Yeah. And it's just more damage to a defense hero, and that's why a lot of people don't like him. And let's
Yeah.
finish it up with his ultimate, which is even seen in the cinematics themselves. He knocks an arrow, says a bunch of words in Japanese very angrily, and fires it out, and it explodes into two spirit dragons that traverse the entire map. It's not an instant kill or anything, but it does a ton of damage if you're standing in front of the dragons or inside them.
Yeah.
So they're easy to see coming, but if you're in a if you're it's a this is why I think he's considered defense because the rest of his kit makes him seem more offense.
Hmm.
But I think he's defense because of his ultimate, and he can lock down an area and he can control a point by using that ultimate. Um, it traverses the entire map, and it doesn't stop doing damage. So, what
Yeah.
do you think?
I think it's good. It's one of those ultimates that it's very hard to pull off a lot of kills by itself. Um, Meaning that let's say you're playing like a 2 CP defense and everybody's on the point and you yell angry Japanese and you shoot it on the point, you might get a kill or two, but more than likely they're able to get out of the way because it's relatively slow. It's not moving extremely fast, but you can dodge it. But the thing is when you combo with like a CC ultimate, with like Zarya's Graviton, which is used most often, or even Ryan's Hammer Down, just to something to immobilize him for a second, you can pile on a lot of kills just by having them stand still for a second and releasing the dragons. Um, it's Hanzo's one of those characters that needs a good team around him. He can carry a little bit, but not too far. So I think if you really want to get the most out of his ultimate, you kind of have to combo it. Even you could even go with like a Sombra ultimate. That way, they don't. If anybody has any movement abilities, they're kind of stuck there for a second. Sombra ults, and then you throw on the Dragon Strike straight on the point. And you'll probably get a couple kills. So it's good. It's best if comboed with.
Right. It's a good for clearing an area or trying to wipe out as many people as possible, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to combo it to make it the most effective. Um, what do you think about him in like competitive scene? We don't see him a whole lot. Why?
You don't see him a whole lot because it comes down to utility of their kit. So the sonic arrow is really good, but unless you can constantly be getting scatter arrow kills, it's you don't give a lot output. Now we've seen players take Hanzo, whether it's for the lulls or for they don't think that the enemy team's going to suspect it, and it worked out really well. That's just high skilled players being able to play these kind of things. The problem is you have characters like Soldier that he has just such good utility. His sprint can get him away from a fight. His heal pack can heal him and the other team. He has good survivability, which when you're fighting in a pro scene, being able to last longer against your other opponent can really make a difference. So Hanzo doesn't really have that ability. He can wall climb, which is really good. And with the recent update, he can now knock an arrow, wall climb, and then when he gets up, as long as he's still holding it, it's still knocked and ready to go. So I think you're gonna see a slight increase, but it's just if you're a really good Hanzo, you can probably play Widow better or Soldier better, just with the tracking and with just game awareness and the utility of Widow or Soldier's kit, and even McCree. It's just at that high of a level, those skills that they use are best suited to other characters. Unfortunately, now you do see them every now and then pick just kind of as a niche pick on certain maps.
Yeah. He's, as with most of the defense heroes, and we'll see, he's not very used a whole lot. Especially with right now the meta being extremely mobile heavy. Everybody's very fast. It's hard to line up, projectile shots with an arrow. So,
Yeah.
something to think about. What about a recommendation for new players? What do you think?
Not for new players. Learn Soldier, learn McCree, and then maybe even something like Farah just to kind of get the because his arrow is a projectile. It's not a hit scan. So learning Soldier just to learn how to like follow people while shooting, and then maybe bridge into like the Hanzos and the Farahs that are more projectile based. So you can learn how to lead shots because you have to hit your shots as Hanzo, or else you can't generate your ult and you give no value. So you need to constantly be hitting people. So people that have a little bit more experience with tracking and projectiles, I'd say go for Hanzo. But once you get used to the feel of the game and the feel of how an FPS game works, then you can bridge into Hanzo. So right out of the gate, new players, no, not so much. But after you get a couple games under your belt, after you play those competitive games and people stop yelling at you for picking Hanzo, then you can probably try him.
But we don't recommend him for new players, though.
No.
So, well, all right. All in all, Hanzo's a very interesting character. He excels based on your skill level. So the better you are at shooting a bow and arrow and leading projectile shots, the more value you get out of Hanzo. Everybody wants to be Hanzo because of his lore and he looks cool and all that. But bear in mind, just because he looks cool doesn't mean he's good and you're in the wrong hands. So keep that in mind. That'll do it for us today. You can find all our social media and whatnot down at the bottom. Be sure to check out our new channel trailer, which has been released onto the channel itself. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.